San Diego Dynasty. Welcome to my very first Q&A session that I'm going to be doing on a somewhat regular basis. We got a really great response. I posted something up this afternoon, just wanted to see what everybody thought about it, and got over 150 comments on Instagram, over 100 comments on my Facebook page, so I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but I'm just going to go ahead and cruise through a lot of the comments and address them as best I can. So again, thank you guys very much for your support, and I really hope that you enjoy this little Q&A session. While I'm answering some of these questions, actually, I'm also going to be opening up some packages that I got because it is the beginning of the season. Practice starts tomorrow, and yeah, Eclipse sent me a couple of things. So let me go ahead and get right into it, and I'm actually going to start by going to the very first question I got on Instagram today, which was from Easy B. It's Easy with 3 Y's and a B. He asked, during your travels, what has been your favorite animal you've ever been able to interact with, and why? Well, I think one of my favorites was, for sure, a great white shark in South Africa. That was a really cool experience. I didn't do much interacting, more than I was holding on for dear life. I think I have a video of it that I'll try to toss in here, but that was a really cool thing. You're actually jumping in the cage with these sharks, and I guess it's a bit of interaction. It's trying to eat me, and I'm trying not to get eaten. And then, tying there for first place in a tight race was the beginning of last year. I went down to Equatorial Africa and hiked in the jungle, and got to take pictures of and really interact with these mountain gorillas that are on the brink of extinction. So they're an endangered species, and that was another really cool thing I got to do. I'm going to jump over to Facebook right here. Hold on, I took a couple screenshots. Alan Gross, a friend of mine from jolly old England. Hey Ryan, though I've had the pleasure to meet you in person, I never asked you, of all the years you've been playing paintball, what would you say is the most memorable win you've had? I remember being young, a young buck, watching you win Spider Cup back in 2000. But was this your most memorable win? Spider Cup was an amazing win because it was a really big turning point in our career. That was back when my mom wasn't a really huge supporter of paintball, but I went out to Pennsylvania for a weekend, obviously all expenses paid and everything. We came back with a brand new 2000 Ford Mustang. So then at that point she was like, it's not so bad anymore. Obviously still had to get good grades. Then actually the following year was another really memorable win, which was our very first year as Dynasty, so we were the rookie pro team, I guess you could say, and we won World Cup. Obviously it was a controversial win, but we still pulled it out, and that was actually featured in the latest Planet Eclipse video 15, so that was a really memorable win. So I guess another tie goes there between Spider Cup and World Cup 2001. Okay, let's see. Jordan Reach, sorry if I kill some of these names. What made you switch from using the Ego to the Geo? The 59 wins you've had with Dynasty, what would you say are your top 5 tournament wins? Okay. And how come Dynasty doesn't play in Europe anymore? The last one's probably the easiest to play, to answer. We don't play in Europe is because it's really expensive, and it's not, there's no financial, I guess, reason to play over there or incentives, because even if you win every single tournament, you barely even cover the cost of one event. So budget issues are huge. Another thing is, it allows more of our players to actually go out there and play. Last year, we had myself, Dalton, Kyle, Brandon Short, Blake Yarber, and Oliver Lang all playing over there, So we had 6 guys playing over there on 4 different teams. So it's a really good way for everybody to be able to get out there, and I think that gives a lot of our sponsors even more exposure than if just Dynasty were going out there and playing, because now we have players on every team really going out there and playing. So that's one reason why we do it, or why we don't, rather. And again, back to the top 5 most memorable wins. Spider Cup wouldn't have been one of our pro 59 wins, but World Cup, anytime you get a chance to win that. Back in the day, Huntington Beach was always a great one to win. I think we won that about 5 times. There was an event back when Toulouse had the 7-man pro tournaments. Those were really great events to win. I mean, I enjoy winning all the events, to be honest. Our 50th win was a big one. That was actually in Huntington Beach as well. And then the very first question is, what made me switch from using the Ego to the Geo? I just like the way the Geo shoots, honestly, and I think that the Geo is the newest gun coming out right then. So usually Planet Eclipse says, hey, we got a new gun, try this out, and it ends up being really good, you know, because they keep making it better and better. So that's one of the other reasons. So hopefully that answered your question. I'm going to scroll back down to Instagram. Paul C99 asked me, how did you get into paintball and how old was I? I started playing paintball when I was 15. A bunch of the kids down in on the street where I lived all got paintball guns, and we had barely enough room in our backyards to kind of like play like 2-on-2s and 3-on-3s with little pump guns in the bushes and stuff. So we were, that's kind of how we started, you know, and that was a lot of fun. Let's see here. Well, actually, let me get into opening this thing. Let me get a little Christmas present, late Christmas present, while I get into my next little question here. Let's see. What do we got? Do I have a job outside of paintball besides clinics and tournaments? That is asked by P. Diaz82. No, actually I don't. This is my main source of income, and it's basically I travel around the world and teach clinics, playing events with other teams. I actually just got back from Panama yesterday. Last week I was with Blake Garber in New Zealand. So we're constantly moving around, and that's our main source of income. Plus our sponsors, HK Army and Planet Eclipse, we have great sponsors. They send us a lot of gear, and we sell it, and as a lot of people see on Instagram and whatnot. Speaking of gear, Planet Eclipse just sent me a bunch of stuff. New backpacks. All right. So this is new. Stoked on one of these. Get the old OGO bag now. Let's see what else do I got here. Little gun case. I'm actually going to probably end up just doing a little individual review on all this stuff. And I got this guy. I've actually been waiting for this. This is the new G-Tech. I'm not going to be playing and competing with this thing, but when I go out and play walk-ons and stuff, this is, I can't walk out there with my CS1 when I'm playing with some of my friends, and it's a little intimidating, so I asked for one of these because it looks pretty cool, and it's pretty simple. Plus, you know, when I am going out there and I do bring some of my friends, when I have an off weekend, I can go out there and, you know, handle one of these things, and they're pretty easy, or I can let a friend borrow it. And when I go to scenario games and stuff, which actually brings me to another comment I got on here, and someone asked, what's a good gun setup for a marker, a loader, and a tank for under $1,000? I 100% I recommend this. I think these things retail for about $500. You get the TFX with matching gray and black for you know, another 150 or $200 depending on where you are in the world. And then just get whatever tank really fits you. We use Ninja tanks, but honestly, whatever we can grab or get our hands on, rather. So I'm looking forward to having some fun games with my new little G-Tech. Shorty Cahill asked me, am I amped up for the Combine? And that's next weekend in Boston, and the answer is yes, absolutely. Let's see here. Penguin is angry. Asked me, what weather condition do you feel is the worst to play in? The cold and the rain. You know, obviously a combination of the two of those is by far the worst. But I don't mind. I don't mind playing in the heat. You know, you can cool that. You can cool yourself down a lot easier than you can dry yourself off or warm yourself up. Now, also with cold weather, your paint breaks. You can never really fix that. Let me get this guy. Look at this. G Pinor _23 asked me, what got you into sailing? You know, when I was really young, my mom had this little sailboat, this little dinky guy, and I kind of remember doing that. And then when I was in college, I actually took a sailing class because I live in San Diego and they offer stuff like that. Oh boy. So, woo, I saw one of these things on ANS's Instagram page. Oh yeah. Brand new gear bag. Hello. Oh, this is sick. Look at this. It's huge. All right. Well, this is the new Eclipse gear bag. Looks a lot like the old one, just a lot way better exterior design. See that? It looks a lot cleaner than the other one. Cleaner, literally and figuratively, to be honest. I'll do a review on that a little later also. Oh yeah, so back to what got me into sailing. Then a couple years ago, or actually I think it was last summer to be honest, Scott and I got kind of bored, and as you can see behind me, well I don't know if you can see, but the ocean's back there, and we decided to go rent some sailboats and test our luck out on the high seas, and we ended up having so much fun that we bought that sailboat, and then we wanted to do some more big adventures in sailing, and that's what led us to that Fandango video that I hope that everybody got a chance to watch. TRNK Diesel asked me, do I get tired of people asking you questions about Oliver? Absolutely not. I like answering questions about Oliver. N.Rudolph 2011 asked me what's my favorite cereal. It changes about every 6 months, but right now it's this coconut chia seed granola by like Nature's Path or Nature's Journey with a little bit of vanilla cashew milk. So you should try that out. It's a healthy option. Zed's O Dead asked me, how does one as handsome as yourself refrain from getting fatigued while playing paintball after so many years? Well, I don't think being handsome has anything to do with it, but thank you for that. I just try to eat healthy and stay as active as possible while I'm not playing paintball. So during the week, when it's warm, I try to swim. If not, I'll try to run. There's some stairs. I live with Scott Kemp, and he's a personal trainer, so obviously I can't really slack. But you know, that's one of the things. Just try to stay as active as possible and lay off the fast food. Not saying that you do, but just in case. I guess that answers Brandon Schimple. I can't do this one. He asked what specific workouts. I actually have 3 different workout routines on my YouTube channel that you're probably watching this on. So kind of scroll around there through the pro tips. And Scott and I came up with 3 like speed and agility workouts that really will help out. Brandon Shorts also does them, and Kyle Spica jumps in with us as well. Tucker Lane asked, who's more ag, you or Ollie? Ag, I assume, is aggressive, so for sure Oliver, because he likes running up the X. Let's see here. Maxwell Thursby asked me, why do I play? What do you do to grow the sport? Well, I play for several reasons. I play because I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, which is one of the reasons that a lot of people play it. I also play because I'm competitive and I like to win. I also play because I like to encourage my teammates to get better and challenge them, and I think that it challenges me as well. And then what do I do to grow the sport? The clinics that I do, that I teach around the world, isn't just for me a way to make money. Rather, it's a way for me to grow the sport. Because if you, as one of my clinic participants, get better and learn something from me, then that in turn makes you a better player, obviously, and you're going to go out there and have more fun the next time you play. The more fun you have, the more often you're going to play. So it's really almost like a snowball effect as you get more involved in the sport, because if I can help you get better, then you're going to enjoy it more. And that, to me, makes sense. And I think that's one of the big takeaways that I get from teaching clinics is, you know, really giving you guys the knowledge to continuously get better and challenge yourselves. So it's a good question. Let's see, Jeremy Monroe. I'll answer a couple more questions here. He asked me, when was the first time you remember playing paintball? Well, I remember the very first time I played. It was at a place called Paintball Hill in Northern California, about 2 hours away from where I grew up. Pump guns, goggles were completely fogged over, couldn't see anything. It was really, really hot, really uncomfortable, and I had the time of my life. Just like everybody else, I think. It was really uncomfortable the first time they played, but somehow we're still doing it. Let's see, boom, boom, boom. Best tip for new young players on how to achieve world domination. That's from Daniel Wells. Well, you know, I always say stay positive. You know, you got to take your wins and your losses equally, you know, because I've lost a lot of tournaments and I've won a lot of tournaments, but there's a way to balance the two of those. Make sure you're always having fun, because if you're not having fun, then it just ends up being a chore rather than an activity. So I don't know, it's tough. You got to practice. You got to do all those little tedious things in order to continue to, I guess, aspire to be better. Okay. Let's go back over here to Instagram. Chio442, what's the best paintball marker? Right now, it's a toss-up between the CS1 and the Geo 3.5. I say that it's a toss-up just because I haven't been able to play as much with the CS1, but I think that one's going to quickly take over the top spot for me. Xander_Scott 1001, why am I so awesome? You got to ask my mother. I think it's her. She's the reason. Let's see here. I can't answer Landon.Mills, but you guys can go in there and let's see. K Sizzle, if I had to move to another team other than Dynasty or Polar Bears, what team would it be? Unfortunately, I think I'm just going to be stuck with the Dynasty guys, or they're going to be stuck with me for the rest of my career in the United States. Other than the Polar Bears, this season I'm actually, unfortunately, not going to be playing with the Polar Bears. Rather, I'm going to be moving over with Kyle Spica to the ML King guys. So that's that. But in Europe, man, I really enjoy those Polar Bear guys, and I'm not leaving for anything other than the fact that they want us to kind of move over to an all-Russian team. Let's see. The last question I'll answer right here, Andrew.Slade, which is the last question I have here on my Instagram, is what advice would you give to a player who's been playing for a couple of years at the D4 NXL level but is wanting to take their game to another level? Well, a couple things. Play as many local events as you possibly can. Constantly be challenging yourself. If you have to get your team to enter into the next level, try that. Try your hand there. If you ever have the opportunity to go to any pro clinics, do that. Watch as many videos and emulate the guys as you can, and save a little bit of pain at the end of every day and do some of those tedious individual drills. I have a bunch of them listed on my YouTube channel. It's a lot of the stuff that really sucks. It's really boring. But if you think of, a professional football player, Odell Beckham, for instance, and he's jumping up in the air, catching one-handed grabs, he's got to do that 1,000 times in order to get the one really important one. And after him showing off a couple of times, it may not be as exciting for him to do all the time. Same thing goes for a football or soccer player, rather. They're zigging and zagging inside of these cones, and they're dribbling the ball for hours on end and just, beating themselves up over these individual skills that they'll never really use, because you don't need to dribble in between cones out on the field, but on the soccer field. But when you need to make that quick cut and that quick move, it's second nature. So the same thing goes for paintball. Practice snap shooting with your left hand, with your right hand, with your left hand, with your right hand. And until you're hitting the targets, running and shooting, with both hands every single time, you're not good enough. I'm not good enough. Fedorov's not good enough. Damian Ryan's not good enough. Nick Sloviak's not good enough. Oliver Lang isn't good enough. So you can never be good enough at an individual level in order to really be right here. So there's always room to improve. So, dink away with that, and I hope that helps a little bit. So, one more question, just because I saw this earlier. Zachary_Martinez_13. What did I do why did you do paintball? Why do I play paintball? Because I enjoy it. And why I joined Dynasty was because, well, I started Dynasty with Alex and Yosh way back when. And would I say Oliver Lang is a major part of my life? As a matter of fact, I would. And with that said, it's 6:30 and I have to drive to the airport down there and pick him up from the airport in a little bit because he's staying right here on this couch tonight. So yes, he's a part of my life. I'm going to see him in an hour, and hopefully that helps. Okay guys, thank you very much for joining me for my first ever Q&A. I hope this brought a little bit of light, some questions, and if you can think of something, I'll definitely be doing this again, and I'll throw up a little review on my new gear bag, and my backpack, and my new G-Tech 5, or is it just the G-Tech? Just the G-Tech. I'll throw up a little review on all this stuff a little bit later, but until then, thank you very much for watching.